Hello, and a big welcome to Mount Horeb School in Canada and John F. Kennedy Elementary in Washington. This is your very own live safari, and we're sitting right next to a leopard. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have my good friend VM on camera, and this is one of our favorite leopards that we see on a regular basis. Oh, she's got tired. She's flopped down. Her name is Thandi, which means loved or the loved one in Zulu. And if we're very lucky, her little bundle of joy, who's around here somewhere, named Tlalamba, might pop in for a visit. So I think they've got a kill somewhere close by here. So when I was walking in the bush this morning, we found her almost in the exact same spot. So I think she's got a kill in these thickets here somewhere. We might go try and have a look for it a little later. Look at that big belly. And that's definitely not from the little steenbok we saw her eat a couple of days ago. I think she might have something close by, a big impala on the ground somewhere. Isn't she beautiful? When big cats have big bellies, they like to take it easy. Okay. Look at that tired kitty. We're going to wait here next to her. Hopefully her little bundle of joy Tlalamba comes out. In the meantime, let's send you across to Steve so he can say hello. Well, she's still being quite a lazy kitty cat, but it sounds like you guys have got some excellent questions for us. So I'm very excited to hear what they are. I see, Juliana, you are very observant. Juliana, the leopard is breathing so fast because she's got a full tummy. So when she is digesting food, it causes her to get hot. So she has to breathe quickly because that's how a leopard cools down. Like your dog does, they pant when they are hot, they breathe very quickly. And so that's what she's doing at the moment to try keep her cool. You can see all the little spots on her. Risa and Jared, yes they do. Leopards can sleep for sometimes up to 17 or 18 hours a day, especially if they've got full tummies, because they'll hide their kill somewhere and then they will only feed when they're hungry. Now, they've got very fast digestive systems, which means they don't stay fat for very long before it disappears. Oh, I wonder what she might have caught and where she's hidden it. Because that is a fat tummy. As I say, we hope the little baby's going to come out. Sophie, fortunately, it's very easy to tell the difference between a boy and a girl leopard. The boys are much, much bigger, sometimes almost as big as double the size. And so girl leopards are much smaller, and even a young boy leopard that's at about a year old, he's already getting bigger than his mom. Now, her little baby is a little girl who's 6 months old, more or less. Born in November, in early November, so she's just under 6 months old. Or just over 6 months old, sorry. Now, it's tough out here in the African bush, Adriana, and a leopard female will normally live to about 13 or 14 years old, and a leopard male normally to about 12 years old. In some cases, you have leopards that will live for much longer. I know of a female that lived to 17, and I also know of a male that lived to 15, but those are abnormal cases most of the time. Leopards live quite short lives. Now, I'm always keeping a close lookout around because I know her little cub is somewhere close by, and we're hoping it's going to make an appearance. So we just keep checking around. We're on the edge of a dry riverbed, so this is a really great spot for a leopard. They've got water close by, and they've got nice thickets to hide in. There's good trees to climb if a hyena happens to come past, or a lion. So it's an excellent spot for these leopards to be. As I say, I think the meat is behind her somewhere in the back there. So we're going to continue to be patient next to this incredibly gorgeous cat while we do that. Well, we lost sight of Mom, so I just moved around to the other side of a big termite mound, and there is little Tlalamba. Isn't she pretty? She is absolutely gorgeous. So that is what a little leopard looks like. A perfect miniature version of the adult. Now, I'm almost certain that they've got a kill close by here somewhere, and that's why they have been here in the spot since this morning. Now, while Mom is napping, little leopards like to do exploring and playing, and that's all practice for when they get big, because it'll make them better hunters. So even if it's got some food here, it might chase some squirrels, some birds, some insects. Now, Caleb, a leopard is very, very strong, but not nearly as strong as a lion. So a leopard can hoist almost, when I say hoist, I mean take up into a tree, something that is twice its own body weight. But a male lion or a lioness is much, much stronger and much bigger than a leopard. A female leopard weighs probably about 120 to 130 pounds, whereas a lioness weighs 260 plus pounds. And a male lion can weigh over 400 pounds, male leopard just over 200 pounds, or even normally less than 200 pounds. And this little one probably doesn't weigh much more than about 50 or 60 pounds at the moment. Now, I think Mom is in that very thick bush down where she's looking at the moment. Somewhere in there, Mom's gone and moved to go sleep or go feed, but it's too thick for us to get a car in there. But aren't we lucky? We haven't seen one leopard this afternoon, we've seen two. What you going to be up to next, little mischief? This is a really wonderful age to watch little leopards because they're very, very playful. Now, where are you going next? I wonder where their kill is. It's got to be somewhere close by. Grace, a leopard's jaws are very strong. I can't remember the exact pounds per square inch, but very, very strong. Much strong enough to break through bones of certain antelope and to get to the bone marrow. Oh, she is very pretty. Where are you off to now? She seems to be sort of thinking about where to go next. very excellent question from Sophie about cheetahs and leopards, and are they in the same family? Yes, and well, they're in the same order, which is Felidae, which is cats, but they're not in the same family. Leopard are part of the Panthera family, which is the big cat family, which consists of snow leopards, leopards, lions, tigers, and jaguars. And cheetahs are in their own family, which is Asionics, and the big difference between a lot of the big cats is that cheetahs can't roar, but all the members of the Panthera family can roar, and they've got a special modified bone in their throat that is elastic, so when they push air over it, it vibrates, and that's what gives them the ability to roar, whereas cheetahs can't. So cheetahs will chirp and squeak and purr. Big cats can roar, but they can't purr. See where she's looking? I think that's where Mom is. Somewhere in those thickets there. And you can see as Vem zooms out how well the camouflage works from a distance. And you can see the little leopard melts into the bush and looks like it's possibly just another piece of the termite mound or a branch. Now, mostly, Sophie, as a general rule, most leopards have that golden eye color. When there is a bit of difference, you can see she's got quite green eyes, but as they get older, their eye color tends to become more uniform. When they are very little, their eyes are blue, but as they get older, their eye color becomes more uniform, that sort of golden big cat. Some of them still retain a little bit of green and flecks in their eyes, but mostly it's just that yellow gold. I'm hoping either the little one leads us to where their kill is, or decides to start playing with Mom. But we're going to sit right here. While we do that, let's send you back to Ralph, who's playing with all the cool skulls in the tent. I think it would be as big a challenge for the little leopard as it is for Ralph to snack on that tortoise shell. Now, where are you off to? She's been sneaking closer to us and climbing this big termite mound, just adventuring a little bit and exploring. We don't like to move the car too much when we're with the little leopard. And she's still quite young and we don't like disturbing her. But if she goes over the termite mound, which I think she's going to, we are going to have to move the car because we can't see anything. Okay. Now, it's very important, especially with young animals that aren't so used to people driving around them, is when you start the car, you must always let it run for a few seconds, and that just lets the animals get used to the sound, and it doesn't give them any negative connotations around it. Now, it's very, very important that you do this when you're with little leopards that are still not quite as used to the cars as their moms or dads. Now, also when I move, it's very, very slowly. Camilla, normally a leopard will have 1 or 2 babies, but sometimes, very rarely, they can have 3 or 4 cubs, but normally it's only 1 or 2. So I'm just going very, very slowly. As I say, I don't want it to give her a fright. And we'll see, as soon as we can get a view of her again, I'll stop. She might have gone to look for Mom. I'm just looking very carefully on that big termite mound. Oopsie. There she is. Hello, little horror. Nika, finding the animals is half the fun of the job. They're almost never in the same spot, and I actually found these ones today by following their footprints into the bush. So I walked and I saw her mom when I was walking, and then I called my friend James and he came in the car. So you can normally get much closer to them when you're in the car, but you can find them a lot more easily when you're on foot. So we follow their footprints. Oopsie. You got her there, VMP? So she's still watching us. Nika, another good question, which is how many different animals do we see each day? Oof, there she is, she's watching us. Nika, it depends on the day. Sometimes we can see 4 different leopards and 20 lions. Sometimes we can see no leopards and 1 lion. It all depends on the day because there are no fences here and these animals can move throughout this area. Isn't that beautiful? And you can see how well her camouflage is working there. So if something was coming that was dangerous for her, like a lion or a leopard, her first instinct will be to hide. So she'll try crouch down like that, and you can see how good the camouflage is. If that animal keeps coming closer, leopards are very good climbers, and she'll climb up a tree where the lions and hyenas can't go. As I said, I think her mom is somewhere close by, just where we can't see her in the long grass. Ooh, that's a very good question, Grace. Who has better vision, a leopard or a baboon? They both have excellent vision, but their vision is different. So a baboon, being a primate, will see in color because they need to know what fruits they can eat, whereas a leopard sees in sort of a grey-green monotone because their eyes are purely developed for movement. So overall, I'd say maybe a baboon has better vision, but the reason that the lions and leopards and other big cats don't see in color is because they have 7 to 8 times better night vision than what we have or a baboon would have. So by giving up a little bit of the quality of their day vision, that means they can see in the dark, and they do most of their hunting in the dark, where the other animals don't have as good a vision. Well, we're going to sit here with the leopards for a bit longer, and when we do that, let's send you across to Steve, who's got an antelope who's listening carefully. Well, we're still with the exquisite but very well camouflaged little Tlalamba behind the broken fallen branch of Ziziphus macronatum, also known as a buffalo thorn. Now remember, if you have any questions for us, you can send them through by using the hashtag SafariLive. Now what you up to, madam? So that's why the wonderful thing about sticking with little leopards of this age, they are very busy. We still can't see Mom. We know she's close by, though. We saw her earlier. But she's pretty much near the spot where James got stuck this morning. And so we haven't felt the need to try and recreate that situation just yet. I think she's spotted. I can hear a whole host of little birds. She might try stalk them. I think That's what no, she's no stalking of the little birds, but seems like Steve's got a little bird of his own. Well, it's a very tired little Tlalamba. I'm sure whatever is meat-wise is being hidden here, it is something substantial, because both Thandi and Tlalamba are stuffed. Look at that fat little tum-tum. It's a pity we can't get into where the meat is. I think that's where Thandi is at the moment. Although I haven't heard any of the telltale signs that there is as she's feeding, she might just be sleeping. So this morning when we were on foot, I could hear that whoop, whoop, and that's of her plucking fur off the carcass. So I haven't heard any feeding, I haven't heard bone cracking just yet. But the longer we stay here, there's a tiny bit, okay. There we go, a little bit down. A little bit to the right, tiny bit to the right. Right, a little bit more. Back left, sorry. Up a little bit. There we go. Down a little bit, sorry. There's, it's a bird. I just saw a little bit to the right. Up a tiny bit. Center frame. Or just off center frame. There we go. In there's a tiny little bird. I just saw movement. And quickly across to Steve. We're still sitting in the same spot. Sorry about the gremlins. And we're still with the gorgeous little Tlalamba, who's still napping on top of that big termite mound. It's amazing how these little creatures can disappear with ease hidden on top of a termite mound. You can hear how peaceful it is here. The breeze is starting to pick up a little bit. Now, it's near impossible for her to tell who her father is, but depending on her interactions with Tingana, she might assume that he is the father, just because if he hasn't showed any aggression towards her in the interactions, then he would be considered sort of a safe leopard. So I don't know if father, but at least a leopard that's safe, that her mother doesn't react negatively towards. I wonder where Mom is. She's not feeding, otherwise we would hear her feeding. But she's somewhere about, hiding in the thickets. Probably doing exactly the same as little Tlalamba. There is something very, very comfortable and relaxing about looking at a sleeping kitty. So David, yeah, it is, it's not surprising that cats are making you a little sleepy. Well, unfortunately, out in the African bush, Amanda, there is sort of no age where an animal will be completely safe from harm. But as a general rule, little Tlalamba would be considered, well, the chances of her being killed lessen hugely when she gets to the age of about a year. So their mortality rate drops heavily from when they turn a year, and especially with females. So that's at about the age you would can be considered to be a lot more safe. But again, life is never safe for these animals out in the African bush, because she might just lose her sense, or just lose attention span for a little bit, and she might be caught by a lion or hyena. Less likely hyena once she's over a year old, but lions and wild dogs still pose a very big threat to little leopards, and even adult leopards. I've seen an adult female killed by wild dogs before, and lions account to quite a few adult leopard mortalities. But for now, she's quite safe where she is. Mom's not far. One of the spots that is always a threat is when they're on a kill like this, because they stay in the same area for a couple of days, and that puts her at risk to hyenas and lions, and possibly other male leopards, which are actually the biggest killers of little leopard cubs. But it sounds like Steve's got a great view of one of the apex predators of Africa, as Tlalamba is still resting on top of the termite mound. Now, Ralph was chatting about crocodile species in Africa, and asked if I had any comments on them. I do have a few. Now, there are a couple of major sort of crocodile species. A lot of them have been separated into new species over the last little while. But if you had to break it down into sort of three major parts, you've got your Nile crocodile complex, which are the biggest crocodiles. Then you've got your dwarf crocodiles, which are forest-dwelling crocodiles that don't actually normally live in rivers or lakes. They tend to live around little streams in the forest. And then the slender-snouted crocodiles, which live in the rainforest rivers, where there is huge amounts of vegetation and that, no big sandbanks for most of the year. So the Nile crocodiles don't normally go into those areas. But within that, there's probably 2 or 3 now recognized different species of slender snout, 2 or 3 recognized dwarfs, 2 or 3 different of the Nile crocodile complex of the bigger crocodile species throughout Africa. Now, at the moment, a lot of that stuff is still being sorted out with new genetic tests. But yes, the main difference is that you've got basically 2 types of forest crocodiles and their different subspecies, and then mainly the Nile crocodile, and then of course there's a few subspecies off that. Now, the Nile crocodiles and the other, I think I'm trying to remember the name of the West African crocodile, it might be called now. I'm just trying to make 100% sure. I'm trying to rack my brain here. Though the Nile and the West African, they tend to live in bodies of water where they have access to open sandbanks, and that's where they nest and lay their eggs and rear their young. Whereas the forest crocodiles, they build actually, well, the dwarf crocodile lays under the ground. They have dens, burrows that they use, and then the slender-snouted crocodile will build a massive vegetation mound to raise their eggs to keep them at the right temperature. I have seen at least one of all of those types of crocodiles. I've actually caught by hand every single one of those, dwarf, Nile, and slender snout as well, in my time traveling through Africa. Now, of course, one of the main differences between alligators and crocodiles is the fact that the crocodile, the scoots, what they look like, all those little ridges along its back, are made out of bone, whereas an alligator is out of cartilage. But that isn't the biggest difference. One of the most massive difference between true crocodile species and alligators is the fact that true crocodile species are able to process salt. So they are able to go into salt water. Their body is able to take in that excess salt and expel that excess salt, whereas alligator species would struggle to go into true salt water, and they would die from salt buildup. That's probably one of the big major differences. Of course, the largest crocodile species in the world is the Indo-Pacific. Sometimes it's called saltwater crocodile, or well, it's got lots of different names. But anyway, that's the biggest species with a record of just under 8 meters for the largest one. The largest Nile crocodile ever recorded is just over 6 meters. But there is rumors that there are some closer to 7. I think those are good old wives' tales, though. I think 6 meters is big enough. Don't want to imagine anything bigger. Quite a lot of specimens are around 5 meters, truly old individuals that are probably close to 100 years old. They can live to over 120, but Gustav, who's considered to be the largest living crocodile at the moment, is estimated to be over 6 years old. But interestingly enough about Gustav, he's relatively young to be of that size. They think he's probably around that was a couple of years ago, so he's probably around 75 now. But when he's been a really massive crocodile since he was in his 60s, and mostly those really, really massive individuals are over 100, and they've started to not regenerate teeth and become problems when it comes to man-eating, whereas Gustav is a man-eater just by pure size, and the area he inhabits in Lake Tanganyika has got a high number of people, and he seems to eat quite a few of them. So watch out for Gustav if you ever go to Tanganyika. Tlalamba is still living the life of a lady in leisure, snoozing off whatever meal she's been eating. Now, the reason I don't want to leave just yet is I would like, hopefully, to see some playfulness between her and Thandi, especially as it's getting cooler, and also maybe one of them will lead me to the exact location of the carcass so I can know for tomorrow morning. They're in an ideal spot. There's those little pans where you saw them drinking with James this morning. So, Paul, to be honest, it's very difficult to say. What would two cubs who are not from the same litter, but I'm assuming you mean the same age, same sort of size, what would they do if they found each other? Oh, there's a little stretch. I'm not sure, Paul. I think they'd probably be very, very nervous of each other, and probably both run as fast as they could in the opposite direction, hoping that each of the other's mother was not around. Oh, must be a few little flies starting to irritate her. Now, of course, there's always a possibility that litter mates might bump into each other. With females, they'll generally meet each other. Once they are adults, of course, they'll meet each other with aggression. With males, it's actually very seldom that they will ever meet up after they disperse in their different directions. But if they were to, it is normally they will meet each other with quite a lot of aggression. I think that bugs, the biting flies, are getting to poor little Tlalamba and is moving around a little bit. Shame. All those nasty flies. But of course, as it gets cooler and night comes, those flies will disappear and she'll have a little bit of respite. We can hear a little pearl-spotted owlet calling in the distance. And it sounds like it is actually an owlet, not a drongo trying to cause a fight. The drongos tend to be slightly higher pitched when they start looking to pick a fight with the owls. There you go, you can see the sun starting to dip low behind this termite mound. So I definitely think it's worth playing the patience game here with little Tlalamba. And as she digests that meat, and be interesting to see where she heads. And where the Thandi comes out of the thickets, they might do a little bit of nice grooming, maybe even a little bit of playing. And the most important reason why I want to see what the carcass is to actually see how much meat is left, because that will give me an idea about how long they're going to stay here for. Well, in this area. Oh, she's up. Can you hear Thandi crunching bones? Thandi's on the carcass. Just as she sat up, I heard the first sort of crunch of a bone. It gives me an idea to where the carcass is. And no, I know it's on the other side of that termite mound there somewhere, and it's just quite faint. It doesn't sound like the biggest bone. Also sounds like maybe she's just starting to rip open some flesh. So I might actually go see if I can spot where she is with the carcass, see how much of the carcass is left. I think I nearly stood on that carcass this morning, Vim. Yeah. From where I saw Thandi, I think it was underneath my feet, underneath one of those fallen logs that I was climbing over when I first spotted her. I mean, the second time I've nearly stood on Thandi is in the last couple of weeks. She tends to do that when you're tracking her on foot. She waits till the absolute last second before she gets up and moves. Okay, I'm going to try reposition, see if I can get a view of the carcass. While we do that, let's go to Rolf, who's having fun with all the toys in the tent. We moved around the termite mound to try and get a view of where Thandi was feeding, and curiosity could not help itself. She snuck around to keep a look, keep an eye on us as we were trying to see where her mom is. It's like, what are you doing? Why do you want to film my mother? I should be the center of all your attention. Now, you might be able to hear the bones crunching a little bit better from where we are now. It's just... I can just hear her. She's... Just beyond this tree, there's a very dark green bush. I can't really see what it is from here, but it sounds like she's in there crunching on the bones. Here we go. You can just hear there's that big break. And you little monster, looking ever so beautiful in this golden afternoon light. So curious. As soon as we came around to the other side of the termite mound, she did the same. Probably should have done it a bit earlier, Vim. Zach, leopards have evolved to be solitary. It is where their ecological niches. They're not as big as a lion, they're not as fast as a cheetah, but they are able to take their food up trees, which none of the other cats can really do. So if there was a whole group of you and you took your food up a tree, it wouldn't last very long. However, if there's only one of you, you can take your food up the tree and it'll last for quite a significant period longer, because you can eat and go lie down and drink and come back. So they have evolved to be solitary predators. Lions, hyenas, wild dogs are all cooperative hunters and very highly social predators. So that's how they have evolved. Oof, crunch, crunch, crunch. Where there's leopards and cheetahs and jaguar have all evolved to be solitary predators. Oh, that big belly is causing you some discomfort, isn't it? Oh, there's some go-away birds arriving. If they spot her, they will make an incredible racket. Oh, she is gorgeous. Oh, shame. Still so full. Too full to do anything. Hang on. Where are my binoculars? I think I might have spotted Thandi here. Sure. If that is her, and right at the bottom there's a little gap through the dark. Oh no, I can't see and it's too dark. Now, as I said, I'm going to try and maneuver to get us a possible view of what the kill is and how much of it's left. Well, there we go. Well, Tlalamba's decided we're boring. Just going back to the other side of the termite mound. There she goes. She's going to lie down on the other side again. Okay. I'll try to find a way down to where Thandi is. Now, Paul, leopards, as far as I know, don't get colds too often. Her nose is probably running because she's in good health. Same as a dog. You don't like a dog with a dry nose has got a problem, and the same goes for a lot of the predators out here, lions and leopards included. How are we doing there, Vim? We'll be back, little Tlalamba, don't worry. Okay, while we try figure out a way to get into where Thandi is with that kill, let's see what Steve's up to now that he's left Chitwa. Okay, we just heard Thandi pulling the carcass through the bush, which means she might be trying to put it up a tree now that they've eaten quite a bit on it. We're not sure exactly what it is. It could be a bushbuck. We're just waiting to see. Can you see any little white spots on it, Vim? Not yet. Could be an impala. It could have been one of the ones that were born this year. So nearly an adult impala, but we can't really see. We just caught a glimpse of her now. Oh, binoculars gone. Wait, she's going to give me another look. It's a bushbuck? No, it's an impala. It looks like a female impala or a young male from this year. Okay, Tlalamba's also run down. Let's move around. Carmen, it's possible that leopards might lose their kills to vultures, but highly unlikely. Oh, this is good. She's moving it into a much better spot for us. Now, that's why I said why I chose to sit here and be patient for the whole afternoon. Because if you wait, you do get chances at much better sightings than if you don't just play the patience game. And I'm a very big believer in the patience game. Now, she could take it into an area that's even worse, but at least we saw her dragging it. So I'm just going to go very... You got them? Okay. There she is. Oh, she dragged it fast. As I say, I think there's a milkberry tree up ahead here that she's going to try to put it in. And her mom, I've seen Karula had kills in that very same milkberry tree. Now, Oh, she's snarling at Tlalamba. With Thandi, you must remember that each individual leopard is different. So when I am viewing Thandi, I always give her a little bit more space than Hosana or Tengana or even Shidulu. And that way she doesn't seem to react as badly. It's always good to just, as soon as you get to know the animals better, you change your behavior with them. Okay, then I'm going to roll forward. So I think she's going to take it up the milkberry tree. Oh, there's my thing locking. Little Tlalamba is following her, running after her. There we go. I think, how's that for him? You're going to get a good shot of it going up the tree? Forward, sorry. We've got a booming rain roof on today, which is causing a bit of havoc. There we go. So she's gone straight to that milkberry tree. Isn't that awesome? Well done, Thandi. Look how big your tummy is. But at this time of the day, it is the time of the day when the hyenas are going to start getting moving. And this carcass, oh, there we go. Up she goes. Right. Look at that. She's, well, nearly fell there, but she's taking it really high. Awesome. Absolutely amazing. Now, you can see that strength. Well, she hasn't finished munching on it yet. Little Tlalamba is looking forlornly from the floor. Your tummy's still full, little one. Isn't that incredible? Mr. Public, epic indeed. Even, we do apologize about that little bit of canvas there. Well, here we go. She's coming down the tree. Isn't that beautiful? Looks like she might rest there for a little bit. She's doing a bit of preening. Tlalamba is now looking like she might want to go up the tree. Off she goes. She's coming to the base of the tree there, Vim. Now, here we go. Victor cubs, not quite ready to go up yet. Victor cubs start hunting from them by themselves from when they're younger than Tlalamba. But little things, insects and birds and squirrels. But normally at about 18 months, or 15 months to 18 months, they'll be able to catch something big. Normally it'll be small stuff for quite a long time, scrub hares, terrapins. Here we go. Are we going to go up, or are we just going to play around the base? Here we go. Thinking about it, but not being very serious about it. There we go, here we go. No, we're going to lie down. I thought we were crouching to jump, but we're not. And here comes the rain again, out of absolutely nowhere after beating down sun. It's been very funny weather today. And we might start to hear the pitter-patter of rain on our roof. Vim and I have been umming and ahhing all afternoon whether we should take it off or not. And here comes the rain. So, good thing we didn't. I don't think she's going to go up the tree now. I think she's just fiddling around at the bottom. Funny little thing. Looking at Mom. And we can't really see what Mom's reaction, whether she's snarling or not. Doesn't really know what to do with herself. Oh, we can hear the wind picking up now. Just have to be on the game drive radio for a little bit. And there are some now. Oh, just wait. Let's just watch, see if she goes higher. No, she's just going through and around the other side. Okay, I'm going to sit here for a little bit longer, but there are quite a few people who will want to come see her now that they're in an accessible spot. So I'm going to send you across to Rolf, who's still talking about the little blood-sucking ticks. Well, they've just disappeared down into the drainage line again. You can just see them disappearing through the thickets there. But their kill is in the tree just up ahead. So if you go up, you'll see there's a big milkberry there. The kill's in the tree there. But they've just literally disappeared down here again. Sorry, guys. Yeah, well, good luck. Maybe from the other side. Sorry, someone else was coming to have a look because the leopards have been in an area that only our little car has been able to get into. Minamu, I think so, yes. In certain areas, leopards definitely have a preference for certain trees. As I say, we've seen them put kills in. I've seen a different leopard put a kill in that very same milkberry. But normally it's the closest, easiest tree. So if it happens to be close to a tree that they used before, that they quite enjoy using, then they will use it. But other than that, it's the closest, most convenient tree. Milkberries are a big, or a very popular one with quite a few different leopards, especially the female leopards, because there are a lot of branches, so it's easier for them to get purchased and climb up. With big male leopards, we'll see them take big carcasses up into much higher, much harder to climb trees. Well, they have disappeared down into the drainage there. VM and I are feeling lucky, aren't we, VM? Are we going to try a little roll of the dice at Asana? VM says yes. Okay, so while we just head off from here to try to see where little Asana might be, let's send you back to Rolf, who's got a third grass species to show you.